Welcome to a new edition of UMFST International. My name is Larissa, and today we are diving into the diverse and enriching experience of George Dennis Shaji, an international student who came all the way from the Middle East in order to pursue his academic interest. Following his well-rounded university experience, we will be amazed to find out how a fifth-year general medicine scholar is balancing all decision-making duties, even sports, and his medical studies. Hello, George. I'm so glad that you accepted my invitation.
Thank you for your invitation. I'm glad to be here.
Wonderful. So, I invite you to tell us a little bit about your life, about your background in Qatar, which is a totally different society from the one you are currently living in.
Yes, that is true. And I was born in Qatar. I was raised in Qatar. I was born into two different cultures, the Indian culture and the Qatari culture. And my schooling was completely very Indian syllabus based. It's called the CBSE syllabus. And it was not only about studies for me, for my high schooling, it was also about taking part in extracurricular activities as well. I took part in so many like Olympiads. I also took part in art competitions and sports. And yeah, that's a pretty much like involved life of mine that like a student has to grow to cultivate their experience in their high school life.
Yes, it's so important.
Yeah.
And how come Romania and medicine intertwine when you were thinking about your future?
Okay, so when I was in high school, I had this aim of going to Europe to study for medicine, because in India we say, like when we say medicine, there is like two types of medicine: Ayurvedic medicine and the English medicine.
Yes.
The English medicine is everything like, everything in the West. So I wanted to learn that in English medicine, and therefore I made a decision with one of my good friends. I went to Germany and did my language and my high school there, and I did a few months of internship. And I also took part in a little bit of sports in Germany, and it was really fun, but my full aim was to do my high school there and be very fluent in the language. I did my exams there, and one day when I was doing my internship in Germany in a clinic, there was a recommendation from these two neurologists. I was doing my internship in that ward, and there were these two neurologists who came to me asking, "Oh, why do you choose Germany?" I told them my answer, like, it's a place where I want to be in the future after my studies here in Germany. And then they recommended me that why not try Romania? Why not try UMFST? Because we were graduated from UMFST, and they were really good neurologists who had a really profound experience. And they told me about the hospital and how they did their internships there, and they found really strong, deep interest in that subject. And therefore, I got this recommendation, and I applied here in Romania in 2020. And therefore, I'm here, and now I'm in my fifth year, and I'm having a great experience here until now.
Yes, almost at the end.
Yes, almost at the end.
And did you find it difficult to adapt to a European country, or did you succeed in finding some similarities maybe?
Coming from Middle East, holding on to the Middle Eastern and the Indian culture, and coming towards Germany and let's say Romania now, because I'm here for the most part, it was pretty challenging to adapt at first, because in every country that I go, I try to adapt to their culture, respect the culture, follow the culture, and see how I can be more socialize with more people in Romania. And I did. And it was pretty hard at first. In the first 2 years, it was pretty hard. I was only in my books because I don't have to face that challenge. And then after my second year, I went out more to get a clinical experience in the hospital. And I got exposed to different like doctors there, and they gave pieces of advice here and there, and that kind of made not a complete puzzle. It's still being built.
Yes.
But I am trying to grow it, like to complete the puzzle. After my 6th year, I want to know that I'll be like happy in the end, that I learned a culture like how I did in Germany. I do the same here and graduate in 1 year. That's how it is right now.
But maybe the transition was smoother after Germany.
That is very true. That is very true.
I think we can agree that sometimes, no matter how much we try, when we are in a different environment, we yearn for those specific things that remind us of home. Yeah. How did you overcome homesickness when that was the case?
There was this advice given by my mother. She used to be a nurse and in India. So she went from a southern part of India to the mid part of India when she was studying. And at that time, there was no kind of electronic transmission, no phones, no computers. They used to write letters. And the parents received the letters in 1 week or 2 weeks. And my mother told me, you have your electronic device, your phone. So, and you know, it's like a mode where like you try to call your parents. Some people call their parents once a week. I personally call them every day in the evenings when it's a bit more relaxed. And that kind of made me miss a little less, but I really do miss being there. But I go every time in the summer vacations. I try to have a proper time with my parents. After my internship, I mostly do it here in the hospital. And after that, I pack my stuff, I go to Qatar and spend time with my family there until the school starts.
All right. And maybe some kind of food, maybe some kind of hobbies that remind you of home.
The biggest hobby that makes me miss my home is arts. So I'm a portrait artist.
All right.
And I drew. It took me some years to cultivate it, but the thing which binds me, my root, is from my school, where I had really good teachers who actually helped me cultivate it. So art is something that connects me for who I am to my home country. But now I would say home country as Qatar because I was raised there. And that makes me miss my home more, Qatar more. And also, secondly, it's my sports. I played football a lot with my colleagues back in Qatar before graduating high school and after, actually. Every summer when I go there, we go back on WhatsApp, which has been inactive for 1 year. And I tell them, guys, let's meet up, let's play some football. And that's what connects me to, like, from my hobbies to my home.
Yes, your roots.
Yeah.
All right. And now I want you to reflect a bit on your first contact with the academic demands. Did your expectations align with your real-life experience here as a medical student in Târgu, Mureș?
In the first year, when I came here, before my goal was study, and then graduate, become a doctor. And my goal is to make an orphanage in the future where I can take care of children. Abandoned children.
Oh, that's so considerate.
Yeah, that was my primary goal since I graduated high school, and It's going to stay like this because I never changed my mind about it. And to see that goal has pulled me a lot. So I knew that only being in the books doesn't work in medicine. I noticed that yes, prepare your basis. And that was my expectation. Just study, graduate, doctor, and orphanage. But now I learned that when the transition came from my second year to my third year, that I have to develop my character, my own character arc, let's say. So basically trying to learn from different sources. I read a lot of books. I take care of like my friends, which I also have a small group of friends here, and I try to take care of them as well. But these kind of small things, plus I network a lot through my friends and by myself as well. And to achieve my primary goal of being like making an orphanage and like having an international connection, because it's an international university, you have a lot of students from different countries. Don't know the correct number, but there's a lot of students from different countries, and I wanted to make this university experience as also a life experience, a learning experience, and this is what I'm getting here. And I'm really happy about it, that it is our own efforts that we make to create a community, a friendly community. And that was the reality. So the expectations and reality is completely different in this university, and you try to be a really good doctor in the end, and that comes from your own efforts.
Yes.
It doesn't come to you. Yeah.
Yes, you need to work for it.
Yeah.
Because you mentioned the multiculturality, what do you enjoy the most about the multicultural community here in UMFST?
I predominantly hang out with a lot of my German friends and some of my Italian friends. I also try to hang out with a lot of my Canadian and American and Korean friends as well. There are some in my year. And it is, let's say, a fulfilling experience. You learn a lot of stuff from them and you learn about their culture. We connect, I must say, I connect through food. And we talk a lot about movies, and we talk a lot about small games and that we used to play before. I used to play before, now I don't delve into it much. And that's a connecting point for most of us. Like, it's like more about a variety of things.
You were also involved in sports. Did you succeed in playing some football here, maybe?
In my first 4 years here in the university, we played a lot of football. We have kind of contests every year. There used to be 2 contests, one from our student league who prepares everything, and one made by our own students from our English section, where everyone is invited to play, Erasmus and the resident students of UMFST. And I was playing goalkeeper for 4 years.
Okay.
And it was a pretty good experience. It's like a bonding experience, because you meet a lot of people from the other years, and from the Romanian section, you see, oh, they're from the Romanian section, let me go talk to them. And we try to build a connection with them as well, in terms of, do you want to make a group for football? Or, being more proactive in sports as well, because, medicine is like when you focus on studying as well, you have to also focus on your health as well. Because if you want to live longer, you have to also be more active in sports. I also go sometimes to the gym, and I see a lot of my colleagues there as well. So that's my football. I predominantly play football.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you succeed in continuing this interest.
Yes.
From what I understood, you're also a Senate member and a student representative. But what motivated you to be part of this administrative field and problem-solving area?
I took this being a student representative and as a Senate member as a way to provide a channel of voice from the students towards the administration. And I'm there as a representative of a part of my students. We have 2 more other members in the Senate, very kind people. And what I do and we do is that we bring the voices of the students towards the higher administration, and just being present there and having a voice or having a choice in the voting system of the higher administration. That is my goal, and I just started with being a Senate member, and it is pretty I guess a good learning experience, let's say.
Yes, no doubting in that. These leadership roles shaped your character and maybe enhanced your capabilities. Maybe beyond this medical field, what can you say about this?
Beyond medical field, I mean, taking a leadership role, I would say I would like to be a member of being like in the, how do you say?
Maybe a community of doctors.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. Being in the community of doctors, and it also goes to my end goal as well, like being in the orphanage, because
Yes.
I want to be more involved in the things that I'm creating, and in a way that I can have some kind of learned talent, or not talent, but let's say hard work from my university days, and I can carry it over to the my end goal and try to maintain it, because it's a very volatile field, taking care of these orphanages, and I want to be more active in there and not abandon it or anything like this. So being a good leader is also one thing that I want to be, and I'm learning this through my representative and as a higher administration, through talks with them, and I learned mostly from them. Yeah.
Yes, in order to coordinate so much project.
Exactly.
Balancing medical studies with so many additional interests can be so challenging. Do you have a certain strategy through which you succeed in doing so?
The question is mostly towards how I learn.
How you succeed in managing your time so well?
Okay. So basically, I use I don't use an old school calendar, but I use my Google Calendar, and I try to keep everything organized. And it starts from there. It starts the root is where you write everything down, that you have an agenda for the week, and it starts from there. And that's why I really say to my colleagues as well and my good friends back in Qatar, like, have a proper goal that you can achieve. And if you have a proper goal that you want to achieve, and if you focus on your present, now this is two different things, because one looks like short term and one looks very long term. And when you write an agenda, I try to do my best at it. I go with full force. No, there is no shortcuts, there is no tricks, but I try to manage my time well, like by waking up early, sleeping early, early bird gets the worm, as a saying. I try to go by that, because I was raised in a more disciplined household, and that's what I try to also teach my colleagues and friends to follow the same, because you achieve a lot when you have good constructed, let's say, time blocks. And this is how I manage everything. And it looks complex, but it's actually very simple once followed. It's a habit of 30 days, and then it will follow. And that's how I did it since the first year.
Okay, so since you are such an organized student, you also succeed in managing to participate in UMCH days in Hamburg.
Yes.
Can you tell us more about it?
Yes. So basically, I wanted to present because this was one of the interests that captured me in 2023. And I wanted to present this. So I did read a lot of researches, and I tried to bring the results of these researches. Now, to give some context, the topic is about depression and anxiety, but on tobacco dependence, or precisely what to say is nicotine dependence. And this is what I want to correlate, because a lot of people are avoidant, or let's say negligent about it.
Yes.
And it's a real problem that has been running for decades and decades, that people who have depression and has a nicotine addiction there's like there's a higher chance of them sticking to the nicotine addiction because of dopamine release, and that good feeling can help get them addicted.
Yes.
So depressed people want some happiness.
Exactly.
And from this dopamine release, they feel good for a small amount of time, and then they go back. And this is a thing that is being going on for years, and there's been a lot of researches, but not specifically made. There's not much researches that are specifically made. So I wanted to write an article, not an article, but let's say a small abstract about it and present it as well. And I was pretty happy with my presentation as well at that time.
So I must congratulate you.
Thank you.
All right. So how was the interaction with your colleagues from Hamburg? How did you feel during those days?
Oh, this presentation was actually online.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, in Hamburg campus, they do an on-site as well as an online presentation. So basically, everything at that time, it was online, as in for our campus in UMFST. And I took part in it because it was at peak interest at that time, and I presented my
your project.
Yeah, exactly.
Your research. Looking ahead, do you have any specific career goals or plans after graduating?
Let's say for now, after graduation, I would actually travel around Romania. Mostly I would do it with my partner and my sister, and we will travel around Romania seeing beautiful places for, let's say, a month or so, and then I will go back to the hospital. Either I will do it in Germany or Austria, or I will go to Qatar and try to get more experience to learn the system of being a resident doctor and being a proper doctor. So at this phase, I would take it as a learning phase on how to be a doctor. So seeing how doctors behave and how they treat the patient, how they manage their stressful situations when there's a patient, like if it's an emergency, for example. And I want to learn from how they keep calm and how do they think systematically, because one wrong step can kill the patient.
Yes.
So that's what I want to achieve before I start my real residency. And I'm really looking forward to it, actually.
And where do you intend to train as a future doctor?
My biggest interest is neurosurgery.
Okay.
It was also been there since the beginning. Since I was a child, I was really interested in the electrical system of the body, let's say the neurons and the nerves, right? And I was really interested in it. And there are two main subjects, clinical subjects that I really like is neurosurgery and neurology. And when I had the time, I used to watch these small videos on YouTube, how these nerves work and what functions do they have. I did it since my high school because I had not much, of course, medical exposure when I was a small kid. So, and this kind of piqued my interest a lot, and I wanted to follow it. And this is also going to stay for like this until I graduate.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Yes, maybe those TEDx about neuroplasticity.
Exactly.
We all know that.
Exactly. That is a very there was a video that I saw as well on the TEDx, talked about neuroplasticity, and it's beautiful because we haven't discovered our brain. And that's also a beautiful subject, neuroscience, where you learn everything about the brain, how neuroplasticity works. Basically, when we learn in the university, you have preclinical, you have clinical years. Preclinical, you learn everything from the book. Clinical, you learn everything with the hospital, everything is hands-on. And what you learn from clinical, you remember from preclinical, and that's where neuroplasticity works. So you remember, you adapt from books to seeing how a patient is being treated. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful experience in this university because we try, if the student is involved, you learn a lot, and the professors here are very helpful in showing their interest in the subject, and they are very willing to bring the students along to show how an anamnesis is done, how do you take care of this patient, how do you take care of that patient, and what is the difference between it. And my experience here in this university has been very proper, I must say that.
Wonderful. So if you have to summarize your experience here in 3 words, what would they be and why? Yes, it's a little bit challenging.
Yes, I must say 3 words, because I have a lot to say in good terms. Learn, adapt, and practice, must say. These 3 words. And like I said before, it is, how do you say, it's like coming back to the first topic that we talked about. It's like the reality and the expectations that I think every student here in this university or any university would experience it. And learn, adapt, and practice also is involved in our university as well, but also in real life here when you try to be your own person and you try to learn to be a better student and also better human being. And I feel these 3 words really help for students.
Yes, they are all connected.
Yeah.
So George, with that, we quickly came to the end of today's edition, and I want to thank you for sharing such an inspiring story.
Thank you.
Stay tuned for what we will bring for the next episode, where we continue to explore unique stories that make George Palade, UMFST of Târgu, Mureș, such a vibrant and dynamic academic community. Thank you all for joining us, and have a lovely afternoon.